What's good, folks? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to talk to you guys about Big Country King's debut 2008 album, My Turn to Eat. Now, Big Country King is a wingman of T.I. He was a part of his group and collective Pimp Squad Quit. Pimps. He was a part of his collective and group Pimp Squad Click. It's also PSC for short. And Grand Hustle has dropped a number of albums throughout the 2000s. I've reviewed at least one of them with their 2006 project In the Streets Volume 4. But Big Country King has actually been rolling with T.I. since way back in 2001 when he first started with his I'm Serious project. So basically, Grand Hustle started to gain legs back throughout the mid 2000s and such as T.I. started blowing up and started calling himself like the king of the South and stuff. And basically, after like a Grand Hustle album, a Young Dro album, and a few multi platinum T.I. albums, Big Country King finally got his turn as like the first cat from PSC to drop an album. It's too bad that more of PSC didn't drop albums of their own. There was a time back in the day when this album came out that I thought more of those folks were going to do that, but they never quite did. Unfortunately, when T.I. went to prison, basically like around 6 months later in early 2009, it kind of cut that momentum short. And really, in my opinion, after like this year, around this time, late 2008, between this album by Big Country King and Paper Trail, it really took T.I. a lot of effort to get back to where he was throughout the mid 2000s and such when he went to prison. But this was definitely a good moment. This is some pretty flashy stuff on here. And recently I reviewed Jeezy's Wingman, Blood Raw with his My Life, The True Testimony project. But I feel like between the two, choosing between T.I.'s Wingman and Jeezy's Wingman, I feel like T.I.'s Wingman probably has like the better bite as far as like this quality is concerned. He definitely knows how to step out a little bit better, has a more good time. I mean, there's still some of the struggles tracks and the hustle tracks and the get money tracks and those type kind of sobering tracks, but it's done in a way where it's not like the main theme like it kind of was more on the Blood Raw album. But I definitely feel like it's pretty crazy just the way I would just have to compare like Big Country King to like a standard token Atlanta rapper. He just sounds like a token rapper from Atlanta, Georgia, whereas T.I. kind of has like that swag rap, and I definitely feel like there's touches of swag rap in Big Country King, not nearly as much as someone like Young Jock, Jeezy, Young Dro, or T.I. or some of those type folks, but he does have it in him. Like I said, he just feels like an interchangeable Atlanta rapper with some quality beats on here and a good draw to be able to handle this and throw it all together. So basically there were two singles off this project which kicks ass. I'm definitely proud of that. They both are pretty rock solid. The first one is called That's Right, and this one is kind of like, to me, like a go-go kind of promo type song that you would kind of hear as you enter, like if you're near some sort of gig where there's kind of going to be cameras and just stuff like that. Just a more kind of promotional kind of run in terms of stepping out. This feels like an entryway kind of club song as things start to get started. And T.I. is on the hook, and he does a pretty good job. I kind of forgot about how T.I. can do hooks pretty well. I mean, when he did songs like Motivation and ASAP and like You Don't Know Me and some of those good hits that he had back in the day, I kind of forgot that T.I. is not too bad with the hook himself. It's actually pretty decent that he supplied Big Country King with a nice hook here, and he just kind of goes in on it on like just a light kind of club song, just an entry level kind of just getting started kind of club song. This easily kind of works as to what it is. Like I said, it's pretty interchangeable with standard Atlanta rap if you know like some Atlanta mixtapes from the late 2000s and just that type of stuff. I'm very glad like even though this record is not going to get a completely rave score, I still am quite glad that this project even came out, just because I do appreciate, like, as much as I like T.I., the Richter that he was off of back when he was a multimillionaire, probably worth like 15, 25 million back in 2006, 2007. It's just kind of like, I just like realizing what some of the Atlanta rap was like, where the budget was just maybe like a sixth or a seventh or an eighth. Yeah, I kind of like the production value and the budget when it's just like about an eighth or a seventh the size of like T.I.'s budget, just to kind of see what some of these folks who were pretty much millionaires around the time could kind of work with just a considerably lower budget, but still had an official release and actually a CD in stores. That's pretty appreciative with that. The second single is The Baddest with Trey Songz on the hook. It's pretty nice that he snagged a Trey Songz hook, especially as Trey Songz would later blow up a lot later and have like a lot of megaton hits throughout the early 2010s and stuff. So he snagged them in an early stage a little bit. Trey Songz wasn't popping as much back in 2008, but this is probably the best song on the album. I just feel like this kind of just easy, kind of interchangeable strip club beat and this kind of light club beat. This is a nice kind. I mean, it's to me not like a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight kind of song where it's like where the party's really getting crazy, that type of stuff. It just feels like this a kind of lukewarm tempo, but still it's lukewarm, but it's not a bad song. It just has a real kind of lukewarm tempo. It's kind of mellow. This is a club song that's not high octane, Lil Jon, Project Pat type craziness, but it still is a club song that just is solid and good. And it's just on top of that, Trey song really kicks ass on the hook, and this is an overall pretty serviceable club song, strip club song, that type of stuff that just works well. It's just interesting that how mellow the song is and how well it winds up working. It's just pretty stellar. So I just would have to say there was a number of songs that I was talking about with like the difference between this project and the Blood Raw album, but I do feel like there are more than 3 or 4 club songs on here that make up for like showcasing the fact that Big Country King comes off as like a pretty solid swag rapper and strip club rapper and just someone who knows how to go out and step out on a weekend and have a good time and enjoy a nightlife and that type of stuff. Songs like Tool in the Pocket, We Is, We Here, Posse, Yeah, I'm On It, are just some additional club songs in that sense that really have like a pretty, riotous kind of feel towards it just to kind of get that. But I'm not saying all these are good. I didn't really have too much of a taste for Tool in the Pocket, and Posse was just a little bit of a lousy beat. I mean, really, if it had been like a notch or two better, I probably could have given that one. But for the most part, these were just not. I mean, I'll go ahead and talk about some good ones. Like, I feel like a song that's pretty much almost as good as The Baddest and probably just about a hair beneath, like That's Right with T.I. on there as We Hear. That's got like a real kind of just entry level where I feel like I mean, like I said, this is like pretty much like third rate kind of rap music and especially Atlanta rap in a lot of ways. Some of the stuff that was kind of going on. I mean, none of this is going to be premiere like expecting like a number 1, number 3, number 5 hit single, something like that. To me, it's just basically like third, fourth time at the club, kind of listen to like some club music. Once you get past all the Akon songs, once you get past all the T-Pain songs, once you get past all the Lil Jon songs, once you get past all the 3 6 Mafia boilers, this is kind of something that kind of goes on like the back burner for a lot later. And these are just really kind of tepid, but not in a horrid way. I mean, I just feel like the energy is just so kind of relaxed where I do feel like maybe the producers, these are not the best beats that they have, but I do feel like they're solid enough to where they carry the energy enough to serve their purpose, but they don't jump off the page. So I feel like that's kind of that's the concept with We Hear and Yeah, I'm On It, which are a couple extra boilers that have that same kind of ferocious energy. But compared to something T.I. would do with like a thumper like What You Know or Motivation or ASAP or You Don't Know Me or Why You Wanna or like, just some records like that, that type of stuff. I mean, it just does not carry that same energy. And it's obvious that this is kind of, in some cases, wingman music, but it's good. I mean, I still appreciate it. Focus is another one that kind of has like a light strip club kind of feel. I mean, some of these can be played at strip clubs, but I just don't think the women, supposing that these are at strip clubs, are really going to dance that heavily. I just feel like it's maybe just kind of bounce on the pole a little bit, but not to the point where it's like full blown, full speed, twerking, that type stuff. I'm not going to say that, oh, these folks don't find this music riveting, but it's just kind of the concept that the energy is just very kind of just tamer. It doesn't quite have the bite. I just feel like, I feel like these were not like the most riveting choice of beats from like quality producers like that Jeezy has had, like Shoddy Red, Justice League, Nard and B and some of those type folks where they are good, but they're just not A plus or A minus lists even. That's just kind of the concept about it. That's what you really have to pay attention to. But it is just like kind of like Wednesday night music, and I just kind of feel like in a lot of ways Wednesday night music is not really something to bitch about. It's not. I mean, it's just kind of where it's not Friday night music where it's like the most riotous night of the week, or Saturday night or one of those. It's just kind of Wednesday night, kind of mellow in between. Not everyone's off work type stuff. That kind of motion where it's like, yeah, some of the energy's here, but some of it's kind of not. And that's just kind of the thing. So, um, I'll go ahead and list the songs for you that I recommend. So I feel like out of the 11 songs on here, I mean, the Spotify version doesn't have the Still Country bonus track, but it is produced by DJ Toomp, so that seems like that's something I would like to check that song out, but I just didn't this time. And the intro I didn't quite care for as much, but like the 6 songs out of 11 that I recommend to you would be The Baddest, That's Right, Focus, Yeah, I'm on It, We Is, and We Here. So really, We Is another one I forgot to mention. This is another one that really has kind of like a put together club beat. This kind of gets things. We is another one that has like a real haunting kind of grim feeling production. It's just another example of Big Country King knowing how to step out a bit and have a great time. And that's just kind of the concept, is just how much of this project. There's really like 6 or even 7 numbers on here that really have that kind of stepping out a bit and outstepping kind of vibe towards it. So it's interesting kind of get that great beat by the Justice League. Shoddy Red comes through a couple times. So that's just kind of the concept. But yeah, those 6 songs that I recommended. So me liking basically 6 out of 11. I'm going to give this record a 6.25 out of 10. I feel like this is solid enough to kind of be the thing. 2 great singles to help anchor this, despite the fact that, really, I don't think, I mean, this record said at its high point only sold 6,000 copies in its first week, which is not too noteworthy. I don't think this record is ever going to go like gold or platinum or something like that, but just to kind of say, like, it is good. And I just feel like this is definitely something you want to dig up and consider, just because it's quite stellar Atlanta strip club music, weekend music, and just got off work music in a lot of ways. It has some good high fashion towards it, and it's more surprisingly lively than you might expect from like a Wingman or something that's kind of more off to the side and not like a commercial front runner. That just relatively happens to be the thing. So 6.25 out of 10. I'm going to give the social score like a 7.5, just because I do think that maybe T.I. could have written another hit for this guy. He gave him the Trey Songz song, and it wasn't, I don't know if it's for certain that T.I. gave these to him, but there was a Trey Songz hit on here and a hit with T.I. on the hook, just because, T.I. is like the 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 man, T.I. is like the main hit behind this record label that Big Country King's on. But I do feel like T.I. just didn't drop a verse, which is really too bad. I would have almost liked for T.I. to, I mean, I really feel like maybe T.I. would have stolen the show, but Tip needed to be on here to kind of have one less extra, or one more extra thing to kind of be able to give like an extra sort of stuff. Or even like on Young Dro's album, like Girlfriend or My Girlfriend by Young Dro, T.I. actually gave Young Dro a couple extra hits that just felt like they were right out of T.I.'s playbook. And I would have liked to have seen like some Big Country King hits out of like T.I.'s playbook. Just something where T.I. would get to the 4th single, like with Motivation or You Don't Know Me, or some of those type hits. I just feel like it's not bad just because it's such a compact album, but the T.I. the vast diversity of T.I.'s songwriting catalog is just not really here. I mean, there are the club hits and the strip club hits, but it's just very, like, it's, like I said, a token Atlanta rapper, more interchangeable than T.I.'s distinction that he has. So that's just kind of something to say. But, so social score gets a 7.5 out of 10. But then I feel, yeah, so basically the future, I mean, this is pretty much going to probably be only Big Country King's only album. He has dropped other mixtapes and such, but it's just kind of, that's the concept, is being able to say that this is pretty solid. It's definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of T.I. and you like Dirty South hip hop and that type stuff, just to actually get some extra kind of shots in the arm as far as seeing some of the stuff. It's definitely not one you want to ignore. It's got some really kind of basically has at this point kind of ignored southern and strip club kind of music that could use more shine. So that's definitely the concept there.